Hi there, this is The Defender, Wisconsin's environmental podcast. I'm your host, Amy Barrilleaux. The Defender is powered by Clean Wisconsin, your environmental voice since 1970. So you might have seen the title of this episode and thought, wait, why do I need a farmer to tell me about clean energy? Well, lived experience is wisdom, and in Wisconsin, the people who live around wind turbines are usually farmers. In this episode, I head to Columbia County to sit down and chat with a farmer and separate fact from fiction about wind energy, plus learn a thing or two about cows. Also, I have a little giveaway for listeners, details about that at the end of the show. That's right now on The Defender. You've probably heard lots of rumors and concerns about wind turbines, and sometimes it's hard to get good information about wind energy, especially when your main resource is maybe the internet. Fortunately, I know somebody who lives right next to a few wind turbines who's happy to talk about them, as long as we also get to talk about cows. Jerry Cigelske is a second-generation Wisconsin farmer who started off as a conventional dairy farmer, just like his dad. Then he started grazing his dairy herd and discovered all the environmental and financial benefits of having his cows out on the land. Now he raises beef cattle, still moving his cows from pasture to pasture. And what makes Jerry's farm even more unique is that his cows graze among wind turbines that are making energy for the whole region. I recently visited Jerry's farm to talk about cows, the benefits of grazing, and all those concerns out there when it comes to wind energy. First, I want to thank you for letting us come out here and be on your beautiful farm and talking to me today.
Oh, you're welcome.
I guess before we get into what you're doing now and the managed grazing and the wind turbines, you grew up a farmer. Your dad was a farmer.
Yeah.
Tell me about growing up on a farm.
So, I just loved it. It was pretty clear that was what I was meant to do, because I just loved being out there on the farm, doing anything. I couldn't wait to be big enough to drive tractors, which of course I started when I was about 8 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't wait to drive the trucks, which I started when I was 13 years old. I was feeding cattle with the truck, driving down the road, feed cattle. So yeah, and doing field work, working with the cows, I just loved everything about it. So.
I remember last time I talked to you, you talked about kind of your faith and in the land and kind of going back to a natural way of animals being on the land. Kind of explain to me your kind of big picture thoughts on that.
Yeah, because it's really, conventional farming now is you're fighting nature in so many ways. Even right out here, we got different weeds, we got grass, we got grasses, we got clovers. Cows don't eat any of this. That's let them out here. We graze this off. They already grazed off a couple times this year. Even the bullocks, they just love. That's the first thing they'll eat when they get out in the pasture is burdock. But a conventional farm, they want to grow one crop, and that defies nature. Nature, this is nature. This is what grows out in nature, and so you're having to use chemicals. You're going to have to trying to fight weeds on fields, and I don't have to do that because I'm not fighting nature. And the cows, they're comfortable out there. That's when they graze it. A lot of these big farms now, they brag about how they use sand in their stalls so the cows are comfortable. Well, I have sand too. I didn't have to pay for it. It's already out there. They got to pay for theirs all the time. So, because that's natural for them. That's where they want to lay. In fact, I've got some patches where there's some below sand. That's when they want to lay down. That's where you'll find them laying. Isn't that below sand because it's the softest sand.
I would think that they would lay in the grass, but they are more like want to lay on the sand and eat the grass.
They have their sand. They'll pick sand over grass. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, otherwise, yeah, they'll lay out in the grass. And in hot weather, we have wooded areas, so then they'll go lay in the trees in the shade when they want to lay down.
How much better is it for a cow to eat grass than to be eating feed?
Yeah, I think it's better for them. There's been studies done on milk produced on cows on grass that the nutrient balance, even in milk, in meat, is better when animals on grass. That's controversial. Some people don't want to hear that. But it is true because they're being fed a natural diet, what they're normally supposed to eat, not forced a whole lot of corn. They're just eating mostly grass and forages. It keeps the balance, the omega-3s and the omega-6s as you talk about. The omega-3s being healthy, the omega-6s being not good for you. The balance is so much better with the omega-3s when they're fed naturally. the omega-6s go a lot higher when they're fed a high corn diet. So it's definitely better for them, better for the cows,
And
and then better for us and by eating their products. So yeah.
do the calves do better? Like when they're out here, I guess, with their mothers on the.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we did. Yeah, when we were milking, we'd leave them on the cow for the first 24 hours after they're born, even, because there's no diseases out in the pasture. They don't things don't survive in grass, it seems. And we've tried different ways of raising calves. We had them at hutches out in pasture, because calf hutches were a big thing for a while. And then we would just move them to a different spot in the grass. When the grass would get more and more get dirty, we would just move them down the grass. And I even I had some sick calves one time, and I tried two different options. I treated one with medicine like what I say you should. The other one I just kept moving every day and a half, or every half a day. I'd move them to a new section of grass. The one I moved in grass got healthier even faster than the one that I treated with medicine. So I just think there's something about grass that's antiseptic that just keeps animals healthy even.
So I guess, working with nature, working with this creation that we're a part of is the answer.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. God knows what he was doing. He planned all this out for us, and so too many humans think, well, we can do better. We can maybe improve on it a little bit, but we can't change it dramatically and still expect it to be better.
So what about the wind turbines and your cows? I mean, they certainly don't seem to be concerned about the wind turbines.
No, yeah. They right up to the bottom of the wind rooms, they'll go up and graze around the turbines. So it doesn't faze them at all. They'll even, sometimes rather than walk down to the shade, they'll just lay down in the shade that the wind turbines make. The only problem is it moves, so then they got to get up and move again.
So it's been kind of a perfect, I guess, match, right? Grazing and wind turbines.
Absolutely, and
and
they're perfect together.
Your farm kind of exemplifies a couple of different things. The managed grazing, which it's better for the environment generally.
Right.
And then the wind turbines, which, actually are tied with solar for the cheapest way to produce energy in Wisconsin. And certainly we seem to have a nice breeze here. It seems like we always have a little wind when we're out here.
Yeah, we're on top of the hill here, and we have lots of wind here.
People have a lot of concerns. Like I'm seeing birds flying around now. Do you find that there's an issue with hurt birds or dead birds around that wind turbine?
Very rarely have we seen any dead birds around. In fact, the bizarre thing is we now have eagles in this area, and we didn't have them before the windmills. So I think a lot of it is the Fox River basically starts kind of behind the farm back here.
Oh, okay.
And they've slowly been working their way up the Fox River. So I think that basically they just kept moving up and into this area now. But apparently maybe they're smarter birds. I don't know, but they seem to be doing just fine with the windmills around here.
So if you could, I guess, tell people what it's like to live around wind turbines, what would you say? I mean, I'm guessing you don't really think about it very often.
Yeah, I think what I'd say is most of what you hear is just wrong. It's lies that are told by people that don't want them, but there's just no truth to them. I've heard people say things like if they have an old foundation in the house, it's going to crack from the vibration. There's no vibration. Any well-maintained machine, you don't want it to vibrate. It's not going to be as efficient, and it's going to cause damage to the machine before it damages anything else. So yeah, there's no vibration. That was a made-up lie. The noise is it's I don't know if you can even hear it on
no, you hear it at all.
It's very minimal. When there's moisture in the air, it'll get louder, but inside the house, we've never heard it. It doesn't come. And the closest one here is like 2,000 feet from the house. And yeah, we've never heard that. So it's just most of the stuff that you're being told is just not true.
Would you advise people to come to a place like you did? You went to a farm that had wind turbines just to see what it was like.
Yeah, I would say that. I think check it out. And I know we had an informational meeting here a month or so ago for another project they're working on. And some woman came up and asked some really good questions because the things that she'd been told, and she was wondering if these are true. Things like she's the one that asked me about the foundation, if I had foundation cracks from it. She asked me if the reason I quit dairying was because they had problems with the windmills, which I said, no, that's not it at all. That was in the works anyway. Really, there isn't too many downsides to them that I've experienced. So I haven't experienced any downsides here. We're old here, I guess. We had we had regular TV antenna at the time when they built the windmills. And sure enough, when the windmills started operating, you could see that flicker, that fuzz on the screen,
Really?
right in time with the windmill blade. It was coming from Madison, so it was one of those windmills over there, and not ours that were bothering it. And they said, well, okay, we'll pay for basic cable for you.
Oh.
Which is still better. I mean, it's just basic, but it's still better than broadcast TV anyway. So it's still more channels than what we had before.
Yeah.
And and to this day, they still pay that basic fee every year to cover that cost. So they said they really bent over backwards to accommodate, make everything right that they felt was going to be an issue.
You mentioned that you went to a meeting and you had a one-on-one conversation with a lady about her concerns about wind turbines. How important is it for people to really, ask questions of somebody who has a wind turbine?
Yeah, I think it's really important because, like I said, there's so many false narratives out there, and you need to talk to someone that has some experience with it. And another question that was brought up at that meeting was stray voltage, because a lot of people claim that's going to be a problem with them. They actually brought in a team and did a stray voltage check on the farm before they did any work here. And then after it was all completed, they came back and tested again, and there was absolutely no difference. So they to make sure they know that was going to be a concern. Well, now we know that it's not an issue.
Yeah, so I guess people just, if they read a concern on the internet or hear about a thing, to go that extra step and ask somebody.
Yeah, ask a reliable source. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hard because it's just easy to believe what you see sometimes.
Yeah, right. Right. Like they always say, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? You say sarcastically because everybody knows it's not.
Yeah. How hard is it for you, or does it bother you to have people maybe not trust what you say, or?
It doesn't bother me, but yeah, when we went to that meeting, there was those that had made up their mind that they don't want windmills, and so they didn't really take what I had to say seriously. But everybody has a title to their opinion, so.
Yeah. So I have a whole list of other questions to ask you that I'm going to try to make sure that I get them all.
Oh, you haven't gotten any of them yet?
Yeah, look, it's 2 pages.
Okay.
So I think you answered a lot of these. Have you ever experienced any health impacts from the turbines?
Oh, no. And I said we had a handicapped daughter for a while there that, and she was on the side of the house where the wind flicker or the light flicker would bother her window, and she was already seizure prone, and yet that never changed at all when we started getting the windmills and they had the window flicker on our window.
Were you worried with your daughter being here and having the wind turbines come?
No, I never really give too much thought. We talked about that that light flicker, but it's so easily mitigated that I didn't worry about it. So.
Okay, I asked if you've seen any impacts to wildlife like birds.
Right. Yeah, that's not that. I've seen some dead ones laying out in the pasture, but very rare. And I think most pasture itself is ideal for birds because you got a lot better nesting area compared to when you mowed hay and you just took everything off. Now they got places where they can nest, and fence lines and stuff like that. But most of those birds are just lower flying species, so I don't think the windmills are going to bother them anyway. Since I switched to grazing, I've seen so many more birds than I ever did before.
Yeah, and probably butterflies and pollinators and all kinds of things.
Right. Bees like crazy.
Yeah?
They'll be out and walk through the pasture. They're crawling around in the clover blossoms, and I just walk right through them. I've never been stung once. They're happy with their ads, so they don't care that I'm walking through here.
No, just as long as they get their flowers.
Right.
So what about the decommissioning? Which is just a fancy way of saying taking these away when the project's over. Yeah. Do you know anything about that?
It's all in the contract that they're supposed to be obligated to take them down if they're not going to be used anymore at the end of the 50 years.
So it's a 50-year lease, not a 30-year lease?
It is 50 years total. It's 30 years, and then they have an option of 2 10-year extensions after that yet.
And then after that?
And then they're supposed to decommission them. Yeah.
Okay.
I think at that point they're assuming that the tubes are going to be maybe fatigued enough that they don't want to try and use them anymore after that. They could be more higher risk for falling down. So.
Yeah. Okay. So they would
just take them down then at that point. Yeah.
Before you had wind turbines on your farm, did you have perceptions about wind that were wrong?
I guess I just simply thought about a whole lot. I I can still remember when I was a kid, most farms still had the old windmills that they used for pumping water. And my dad would talk about that when he was young. That, yeah, he said, yeah, you made sure that when the wind was blowing, you made sure to pump the water and fill the cistern. Otherwise, you're pumping that thing by hand, and you don't want to do that. So, so wind power has always been a part of farms for many years, even before this. So it's really not a new idea to me.
So you weren't, you just saw windmills as windmills, basically.
Right, yeah, that's another, yeah. They're something productive, yeah, really. That's on a farm, that's why I kind of looked at everything. That's when I switched to grazing. We started thinking about how, why are we doing this? Is it productive or not? And so that's why we kind of just changed the whole way of thinking. And so certainly windmills, they're productive, and as even the roadways are advantaged. So yeah, they're a good thing for us.
Okay. Make sure I messed all the. We'll get back to managed grazing real quick. What do you see as like the environmental benefits of managed grazing on your farm?
Number one would be soil erosion, basic elimination. There's just no soil erosion because the ground is covered. It's covered solid. It's covered year round. When we first moved here, every spring we'd get a strong wind with all this wind. Before the neighbors' fields were planted, we'd have dust blowing across from their farms, and so it eliminated. There's no wind erosion whatsoever on my farm. I mentioned we had blow sand in the pastures. Well, that's from years ago when the sand did blow across the fields. Well, now it's covered in grass, so it doesn't change anymore from what it was then. But it's certainly the best benefit. And then as far as water erosion, kind of the same thing. Neighbors' fields all around here used to always, you get a heavy rain in the spring and they'd have gullies wash through their fields. Mine, absolutely nothing. It's just, the grass is going to hold that ground. Unless we have a Noah's Ark type flood, it's not going to wash out. So it's just amazing. The environment, that's probably the biggest environmental benefit. We've had those groups that work with farmers to try and improve these soil loss problems. And it's just that this is the best thing you could do. There's some counties up north where there's some guys that really worked with that and really helped prove it and got more farmers to switch to grazing. And that's one of their biggest pushes. If the government's going to spend money to try and improve conservation, this is the best investment for that money, because all you need to put it, maybe help farmers pay for some few fences or some seed, and then for the rest of the life of that farm, you've solved the erosion problem. So it's the best benefit of environmentally for grazing.
And again, it's kind of like that working with nature, working with.
It's eliminated need for herbicide, eliminated need for pesticide.
And fixed erosion problems and kept water on the land and everything.
Yeah, that's another big thing is, your water doesn't, there's a dam there in the Cambria that's been washed out twice in my lifetime here already, the time I lived here. And I think a big part of that is that all these farms around here switch to corn. So every time you get a downpour rain, whoosh, all that comes right off the land right away, and it comes way too fast into that lake by Cambria and it washed out the dam. Whereas just 50 years before that, every farmer has had at least some land in pasture, some land in hay, and it slowed down that water off the farm. And so that's why they didn't have a problem with that before, back in those years previous to that. So they want to claim that, well, the environment is changing. Well, that's not changing. What's changed is the way we handle land around here. That's what's caused the problems.
So tell me about when the wind turbines came in. I mean, what was construction like? Was it hard on the cows to have?
It wasn't hard on the cows. It was hard on me because I had to keep kind of rearranging how I was going to graze the cows because we couldn't always get to different pastures when I wanted to.
Yeah.
But we managed, and it was. I understood it was a 1 year thing. As a farmer, you understand how things. You breed a cow, you wait 9 months to have a calf. And when the calf is born, you wait another 2 years before it starts milking. Things take time, and so we understand that it's it was just a 1 year thing. 1 year thing when they built the roads. That was the biggest thing to work around. And the following year, they built the roads and poured the foundations. Then the following year, they came in and built the windmills, and that wasn't much of a problem because everything was already on just those roads in those areas, on the crane pads where they had the construction area.
So was it cool to watch the big crane out here?
Oh yeah, I think that's kind of amazing to watch that. So people say, oh, well, those windmills are ugly, and I'm thinking they're kind of an engineering marvel if you ask me. I think that's just kind of cool. And then when they do work on them, I think that's just kind of amazing how these guys hang up. You can see them sitting on top of there when they were doing the construction work and, and hanging up there. And they have a little lift that actually comes out of the back of the thing, and they can actually lift. They'll usually lift tools up, but I've seen actually guys hanging from there too, and I don't know what they were doing, but they so.
I don't know. I mean, it is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
You talk about the old windmills on farms, and now these, and the amount of, the wind that it takes to blow one is just, the way they're designed is pretty impressive.
Right. Yeah, it's all, yeah, there's a computer up in there that keeps making adjustments. It always turns it so it's facing the wind. It'll turn completely around on top of those poles.
Really?
And then the blades can be adjusted for their tilt, so if the wind gets stronger, they adjust the tilt so that the blades stay turning at the same speed. They adjust that by changing the tilt of the blades. That's all done by a computer that's mounted on top of each one of these. It controls all that.
Wow.
So to me, that's an engineering marvel. I mean, it's just amazing how they can do that stuff.
It is amazing, because you just think, oh, the wind blows and they go.
Yeah.
So.
And the poles, they said there's shipbuilders in Door County that know how to build things. They built the poles that all you stand on. So I trust those are going to stay standing. I mean, we had a tornado go through our woods back there. You can tell by the trees.
Oh.
But the windmills back there, they were unaffected. They didn't hurt them.
Yeah.
But once again, they're automatically, if it's a sustained wind over 50 miles an hour, then they automatically shut off. The blades will turn straight and they'll lock so that they can't get damaged, is the idea. And it works, and they weren't damaged when the tornado went through there. So.
Yeah.
The whole big trees blew down back there, but the windmills are fine.
Yeah, on those Door County poles that they're on. I didn't realize that they made those in Door County. You got cherries and poles out of Door County.
Well, it's a shipbuilder. That's what they've always been famous for up there. Is the shipbuilders. And at that time, there wasn't a whole lot of demand for shipbuilding, so they had time, and they had the facilities, they had the know-how, and they made them.
I think they're still there doing that too. We should go.
I'm sure they still, if they still have demand for them yet, they still build them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they've gotten a little more shipbuilding work since then, but yeah, they're still. And the turbines themselves, they said, were made in Colorado.
Okay.
So they're not, because people have said, well, that's all foreign-made stuff. Well, no, it's not actually.
Yeah.
The blades and the turbines were made or the generators themselves are made in Colorado. They ship out here by rail.
And then the poles are Wisconsin-made, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. And all American-made.
So when you look back at your journey as a farmer, what are some of the key moments for you that you think about?
Oh boy.
Not a small question.
So yeah, after all my years of farming, there's a number of different key moments. Yeah. So I certainly the switch to grazing was probably the biggest key moment for changes in my life. But even when I moved from my dad's farm to the rented farm, it was, and I had the landlord I had there. He was a good farmer too. Totally a lot different than my dad in a lot of ways. But obviously that kind of helped me realize, well, you don't have to do everything the same way. Just you can, whatever you think works best for you, what preferences you have, you can still do it and still be successful. And so that kind of helped me realize that it's just because my dad did it this way and he did it a different way doesn't mean it was wrong. It was just preference, and that kind of helped me when it came time to switch to grazing. This isn't wrong. It's just a different preference.
Yeah, it's no.
There's as many different ways of farming as there are farmers. Everybody has, what they like best. I said I always had a truck for my farm because I like driving a truck. I didn't have to have that, but it's just something that I thought was fun, so I continue to do that always.
That's cool that you're able to do that.
Yeah.
When you take a look around at what you've accomplished here, your cows, your wind turbines, your grass, I think the transformation of this farm and what you do every day, do you feel proud that you have made this impact, made that land healthier, and been able to do all this?
Well, I don't know, pride is quite the word for it, but so as a Christian, we want to try and do what God would want us to do. And I feel this is definitely what God wants us to do. And work with Him instead of fighting with nature, and taking care of this plot of land. It's going to be a whole lot better when I'm done here than what it was when I bought it. And so that's what he would want, and that's what makes me happy. I'm glad for that.
So, well, I just want to thank you again for talking about all this and letting us come out to the farm and sharing your perspective. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to have you. Like I said, I wish more farmers could graze, and so any chance we can to help promote that. And like I said, the windmills, just a perfect benefit to go together hand in hand with the grazing.
And thank you for listening to The Defender. Not only are we streaming on all the podcast platforms, you can also listen on Civic Media talk radio stations at noon on Saturdays and Sundays. Now for that listener giveaway, we're giving out artist-designed Clean Wisconsin stickers. All you have to do to get a sticker with an original art design is email me your name and address to podcast@cleanwisconsin.org. The only rule, you have to be in Wisconsin. Supplies are limited, so get those emails in. Trust me, the sticker designs are super cool. Again, that's podcast@cleanwisconsin.org. I'm Amy Barrilleaux. Talk to you later.